Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Prepping by Faith, and today we're going to be talking about something that has been long overdue. And this is a conversation that I feel like I should have had, several months ago. I've continued to kind of hobble along on this channel, and I haven't really been being honest with you guys or honest with myself because of all the different things that I have been trying to come to terms with. And so what I want to do right now is go ahead and put this video out and kind of give you guys an idea of a lot why I had been neglecting this channel, why videos weren't coming out on a regular basis, and the different things that I have been realizing as I have evolved in preparedness. This video is not condemning any other channels. I want to make that very clear before I start talking, but there is an element as a content creator, especially when you have worked with other channels, other larger channels, anyone else that you're involved with in the community, where you feel like you cannot speak out about certain things because you might offend somebody else, you might offend another channel, you might offend another content creator, and I can't keep operating that way. I can't keep holding my own opinions and my own voice silent because I am trying to get along with everyone else. I am always going to be somebody who is your biggest advocate. I'm always going to be in your corner, no matter if we disagree on certain points or not. I'm very supportive of other content creators and other channels, and I appreciate everybody's opinion and insight, but I can't silence my own opinion and insight any longer because it could be something that is going to help somebody else. And that is very important, that we don't get to that point where we feel like we can't speak up or we can't share our own thoughts with others. So what I want to do is just kind of give you guys an understanding as to why my content had diminished and where I am at and where we are going to be going forward with this channel. So several months before I had even started packing up to move, I felt like the Lord was telling me that it was time to make a change. It was time to let go of some things. It was time to start moving in the direction that He had for my life. And the only way for me to do that was to begin to trust Him fully. And I felt like He kept speaking to me. In fact, I think I shared a couple of videos with you guys along that line where it was, are you willing to let go of anything that you've acquired on your own in order for me to lead you into what it is that I have for you, what it is that I am going to give you if you're willing to let go of any of this that you've acquired in your own strength. And I really had to come to that realization that, yes, Lord, I want to be obedient to you first and foremost, and I want to do what it is that you want me to do. And the only way to do that, guys, was to begin to dig myself out of all of the preparedness items that I had acquired in my own strength. So many things that I had put up that we weren't using, that we weren't going to use, all of the tremendous amounts of canned food and food items primarily. Now, I'm not telling you guys not to prepare. I'm not telling you guys not to put up any food. That would just be unwise. But when you are acquiring so much that you're not able to rotate through it effectively, that you're going way past expiration dates, that you're seeing this stuff just collect dust on a shelf because you might need it someday, that is not how we should be living our lives. There is so much that we could be using that money toward in our lives to either get out of debt or to help somebody else that may need something. We need to be wise with our resources, and just stockpiling things just for the sake of stockpiling because everybody has coined a phrase of stack it to the rafters is not wise. It's not something that any of us should be practicing, whether we're a Christian or we're not. And so I really want to start, being honest with you guys. What is it that I think that we should be doing in order to prepare effectively? What should we do to prepare, not just for some sort of apocalypse that may or may not take place in our lifetime? And that's something that we just talk about so frequently, like it's going to happen tomorrow. that we learn to just shut out our everyday lives, and we're no longer even a participant. We're just standing by, and we're putting our lives on a shelf, our actual lives that we should be living every day and enjoying and making memories with our children and our families. We're shutting all of that out, guys. We're shutting it out. We're silencing it, and we're basically not living our lives at all, because all we're doing is consuming preparedness, whether it's information, whether it's news, whether it's regurgitating something else that we've heard and kind of, funneling that down to other people. This is not stuff that is going to help us thrive in our lives. And as many of you know, the more that you immerse yourselves in that, the more negative you become, the more you feel like the world is going to implode at any minute. You have almost a heightened sense of urgency and fear and anxiety that will grip you, because that is not what we're supposed to be doing. We are supposed to be, the Bible tells us, think on whatsoever things are lovely, think on whatsoever things are pure and of good report. Well, when you're sitting there immersing yourself in the doomsday news cycle, you're never going to get well. You're never going to feel good about your situation. You're never going to learn to trust God, that He has something bigger planned for your life. And so the Lord had to walk me through these things. He had to deal with me on that personal level. And as I began to let go of those things and allow Him to move in my life, and as we began to step into obedience in the direction that I felt He was calling us, my husband finally got a job offer, and we were able to relocate. We were able to move, and not into a state that we had planned for. We had opened it up to other states that we were more concentrated our efforts in Tennessee, more Iowa, those sorts of things. But this one came out of the blue. It was unexpected, and it got us close to those areas, closer to those areas than we were in Colorado. And we just felt so heavily that this was the direction we were supposed to go, after confirmation came through in our lives. And that is how you have to walk your life. You have to walk in obedience. You have to exercise your faith. You can't sit idly by on the sidelines and say, God, I need delivered out of the circumstances I'm in, if we're not willing to obey His voice and put forth some effort of our own. We have to pray, but yes, we also have to remain faithful and operate by faith. Well, how does that work? That works by letting go of some of these things you've acquired and donating them to others, giving them away, unloading and unburdening yourself from that. That can also, be, I'm just going to give you examples of our particular situation, since I feel like it's applicable, and it'll give you an example of some of the things that we did. Not only did we offload a lot of these things that we had acquired, we also began to preemptively pack. As I felt the Lord impressing upon us that it was time to move, I did not know where we were going at the time when I started doing these things. I began to deep clean my house in areas that I knew I could. I began to donate things. I began to start sorting things and organizing things and packing things that I knew we wanted to take with us, and prioritizing what those items were. And by faith, I was making those steps and those strides, knowing that at any moment He was going to tell us, it's time to list your house, it's time to move. And that is how you need to operate when you are trying to be obedient to the Lord, is listening to those little nudges. They're not always a booming voice that comes down from heaven that tells you, hey, do this, do that. Sometimes it's just a still small voice of the Lord speaking to you, and you need to be obedient to do those things. So in preparedness, I have learned so much. Everything has come full circle for me this year. So one of the things that I feel like I want to dispel is the fact that everybody thinks that you need to have hordes and hordes of supplies in order to survive in a situation. Well, you know what, guys? If that ever happens, if that day ever comes, eventually even those who have stored up years worth of supplies would run out. That is just not the way that you want to live your life. It's a good idea to have some items on hand in case of an emergency, in case of a small disaster, in case of a job loss, or in case of some sort of a natural disaster type event. But to live your life constantly thinking that, you're not going to be able to get anything in the grocery store any longer, that you have to be your own food source, that you have to do all of these things, that is no way to live your life. You're always going to be living, whether you want to admit it to yourself or not. And I had to realize that with myself. There were elements of fear that I was allowing to dominate my life, and I refused to live my life like that any longer. I refused to be, I had gotten so so concerned about even moving. I hadn't even entertained the idea of moving any longer because I'm thinking, if this happens or if that happens, then we're going to be caught with no supplies. We're going to have absolutely nothing. Well, am I trusting the Lord any longer in that situation, or am I only trusting in my supplies? Am I trusting Him to provide for me? Am I making Him my source, or am I making all of these things that I've acquired my source? I do not want to live my life like that. I want to still be able to enjoy my children and my husband and make memories with them and live everyday life instead of being so consumed with whatever news report that I wanted to research or whatever item that I wanted to bring you guys that I thought might change your level of preparedness. Guys, that is not what's important. What's important is spending time with our families, making memories with our families, enjoying our lives, and yes, being prepared, and that we have some things set aside. We have skills that we need to get us through a situation. We have people that we've built relationships with that we can come together and a sense of community, and that if we ever really needed each other, we all have that safety net because we each are specialized in different areas, and we're going to think of something the other one did not. That is how we get through a crisis. That is how we get through different situations. But we do not live our lives to where we are just simply preparing nonstop, constantly, and never, always keeping our heads down and not enjoying life any longer. And so that is the focus that I'm going to be centering my channel on. I'm going to be taking us down realistic routes of preparedness. What does it look like to be prepared on a daily level? Not what does it look like to be prepared for a nuclear event, or what does it look like to be prepared for a cyber attack or some other calamity or crisis or the death of the dollar. That is not the direction that I'm going to be leading this channel. It is going to be everyday tips. It is going to be your basics for cold weather, whatever event it is that you're going to be dealing with at that point in time, and not even just so much fixated on those types of things, but more on what does it look like for us to prepare as individuals. What does it look like for us to be able to face what we deal with in our lives, the kind of things that we have to overcome, the different obstacles that will blind us, that will block us from growing as people. Those are the kinds of things that I want to deal with on this channel. Those are the things that I want to do, because I feel like what God is calling me to do is to encourage those of you who are going through rough patches, who are going through times of trials and tribulations, who are having difficult moments in your journey, in your daily walk. And that is what I feel like I am called to do. I am not called to continue regurgitating the same information that everybody else is sharing, because if you want to watch those types of channels, they're out there, guys. They're all over the place, and you guys can watch them and you can learn from them. And I'm not trying to diminish anything that they are doing. We are all called to do different things, and I am called to do something different, and I am not going to run from that calling any longer. I'm not going to be silent any longer. I'm going to share with you the things that I want to share with you, and if you don't enjoy it, if it's not for you, then this channel is not for you. And I am not running from my purpose that the Lord has called me into. And so I just wanted to share this with you guys, give you guys an outline, let you know kind of why the content had diminished and what we're going to be doing going forward. I'm excited about this new chapter. I'm tired of stopping and starting and trying to get the momentum going again. This time is different because I am coming out of my shell. I am no longer in hiding. I am no longer going to hide from my convictions or what I want to share with you guys. It's very important that as individuals, we're honest with each other. We're honest, we're upfront, and we're not trying to shut down parts of our character or parts of our voice because we're afraid of offending somebody. We can't get to that place. So I'm excited about this, and remember to always pray, prep, and put God first. God bless.